This is the perfect opportunity, everybody, for me to do a video on combat. Because combat in this game is pretty damn complex. So, I've got a pretty good range of abilities now. I'm like level 12, 13, something like that. So I've got at least like 3 to 5 abilities on each character, but you can only have 3 equipped. So what your objective here is to find things that synergize with your playstyle, and not only that, but finding companions that can do triggers, can do combos together. So as an example, Karya over here, he's got this starter called Debilitate, which applies Sundered to a mob, and then Nev has a finisher which detonates Sundered targets. So it always clearly shows you, because it tells you there's a combo opportunity available, and then once you click it, it shows you what it links with, and so you know you can go to that. Now from here, choose to individually tell a person to target something, like only Lucanus will attack this target, or only Nev will attack this target, or you can tell them both to attack the target, which is really cool. But there's also individual abilities which you can choose to slot, and this is where things get a little tricky, because the synergy between characters is as important as is the synergy with your character, because at the bottom I have my abilities. So right now I have Pilfer, which is a detonator or a finisher, and it detonates Overwhelmed. I don't currently have any characters who have an Overwhelm ability yet, but I do like Pilfer anyway because it applies bleeding on hit, and a potion is automatically consumed, and it steals a potion and then immediately consumes a potion. So it's a nice way to get like a little insta-heal in the middle of combat. Outside of that, I have Static Strikes, which applies a weakened state to the mob. Other characters in my party have finishers which detonate on weakened targets, so I have a starter essentially at that point. And then I have Lightning Flask, which does a bunch of AoE electric damage, which is really cool. And then I have my ultimate ability as well, which is like throws down a bunch of like smoke bombs, grenade things. So when you're going into combat, there's a variety of things, because I'm paused right now. Like, I'm in pause mode. I'm playing on the Xbox. For those of you who are watching the stream know this, but for those of you who watch this later on when I pull this out for YouTube, because I'm on the Xbox, in order to get to this menu, you're obviously holding down the RB button, the right bumper, to bring up this menu. And this essentially allows you to have the full tactical pause that players are accustomed to from previous Dragon Age games, while also allowing you to sort of blend together with the Mass Effect style that we've seen in like Mass Effect 1, 2, 3, Mass Effect Andromeda, where you have this sort of contextual radial menu that allows you to do all these different combo abilities. So I have a choice here, because we're in the middle of a fight here where we just got attacked by 3 monsters, right? Now I can switch between the ones I can see right here. Now there's another guy somewhere around the corner, I think just over there to that corner to the left. And I think he might be a bigger guy, I don't know. So I don't actually want to do a combo right now. What I want to do is Abominate, which does barrier damage. Barrier damage is important. So these guys, barrier damage is represented by like a shield icon. They don't really have any barrier damage, or they don't really have any barriers. But what's important here is it applies a knockdown effect to all the enemies in the area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with that so that he knocks down everybody. And then I'm going to look at Nev and I'm going to say, let's go ahead and hit him with Glacial Pace, which is going to slow everything, or it's going to slow that particular mob. And then I'm going to go ahead and just do my normal melee attack here. We're going to do the combo. Back out. Woo! Out of the way! Okay. Now, he's charging me right now. Now, they have cooldowns now, and you can see the cooldowns here are represented by timers. Now, I don't have to pull up this menu if I don't want to. I can go ahead and just, and this is where it gets a little chaotic because the combat can be very fast-paced if you're not slowing it down to take advantage of the tactical stuff. So from here, if I wanted to, I could just hold down the left trigger and also access all of their abilities in a different manner that doesn't pause the screen. I'm going to do that now, and I'm going to use my Pilfer ability as this guy charges to me, and you're going to see what that looks like as we go into this. So see how it used the potion? Oh, he's staggered. Get him. So you see how it had the... There we go. So what just happened there? He was staggered. So when a mob gets staggered, you have the option to then basically do a finishing move on the mob using the down press of the right thumbstick. Now, it doesn't always kill them, but when they're low health, it does kill them. So in that case, we actually took him out. Now, Lucario's timers are up now, but I don't want to have him do anything at the moment, so we're going to duck out of this. Now, Nev's going to give us an audio cue in a minute when her abilities are ready to go.
I've got the setup, you do the rest.
I've got the setup, you do the rest. So she just told us that her cooldowns are done. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do a combo on this dude. We're going to do Debilitate, and then we're going to group with Icebreaker, and watch what happens.
Not too bad. Take him down.
It's going to blow up, and then I'm going to run in, get sundered, and now I've just bonded with Lucario, which is cool. Now this also brings me to the next part of this, because we'll actually be able to take a moment here outside of combat to look at the importance of understanding how the specs work for your character and the companion characters that you're using. Because every companion, just as much as you have all of your unique abilities, every companion has their unique abilities. And this is where it's completely flexible. You'll notice a refund button over here that you can use at will to respec things. And this is where it gets fun, because different characters have different synergies. So you might want certain characters to work with other characters. So he works well with Nev for the moment because of the abilities that I'm using. But if I was choosing to use him with Harding as an example, or Balara, I might choose a different type of abilities, or different combination of abilities. But in this case, because I know that he has a really good primer, which Nev can then detonate off of, what I'm really interested in here is going into his primer ability, which is Debilitate, and making this ability as powerful as possible, because that allows Nev's stuff to do more damage when we get into the detonate phase. And because I really like the combination of these two characters, I try to use them as often as I can. Now, I don't always have the option. Sometimes there are certain missions where you have to use specific characters, and that's kind of important to know in the course of your overall combat strategy, is that sometimes you will be taking characters that work differently with other characters, and you can freely choose to respec them as you desire if you want to create a different synergy with another character who you bring along for a specific mission. But in this case, because we're working with Nev, I'm going to go in here and say, how do I want to do this? Let's go ahead and bring this cooldown down, and let's go all the way down to the end, which adds an extra hit to this. And then later on, what I'll be able to do is you'll be able to come in here and spend a point along each side of this path to say, I want to add either Spiteful Maladies or I want to add Crow's Spectacle, which are two different ways to make that different. And this also will upgrade the final ability. We could add a 50% Sundered Duration, which is going to be really, really helpful. And then also over here is the effectiveness is 10% buffed. I would probably personally go for the effectiveness probably, because duration doesn't matter to me too much, because I'm always going to be saving the primer for when I know that I have a detonator ready with Nev to be able to blow things up on the field. So that's how you do that. And each one of the companions that you have, I only have 4 of them right now, but we can go into all of these characters. They all have abilities that you can spec as you will, like so. And then down here, what you can look at is on the bottom, what you're looking at is these are the where you can change things out. So she actually has more abilities than you can have on your hotbar. So the key is to change these out. Now you cannot change them out when they're on cooldown. So because everything is on a cooldown right now, I would actually have to wait until her cooldown is done to be able to change her abilities out. But as long as you're outside of combat, you can change those around as you will. Now, not every fight is complex enough that you need to use this menu. A lot of the fights are so simple that I just go in and we just do combat and we let them do what they're going to do, because they will do their own auto attacks behind me in the background. And then what's up to me is just to go in and do all my combos and everything else. The other important thing to realize is that every one of these characters can have a heal to help you out in combat. You don't have to have them use the heal. I do have, in this case, I have Nev has a heal, but I do not have any heals with Lucario. Lucario, I always forget what his name is. I just got him as a character, so I'm still learning who he is. But it's nice because every single character can be a healer, essentially. And so far, what I've noticed, and we're running about 6 hours into the stream today. We did 8.5 hours yesterday, so I'm well into the game at this point. We're approaching 15 hours into the game. I have not necessarily needed a tank, because everybody does well enough on their own, and the way they've got this game set up is that because everyone can do heals, and you have potions and things. Really, the only reason you would need a tank is if you want a character who's going to draw the aggro away. And I'm still looking forward to getting, I think it's Devin, I forget his name, the guy with the Griffin, the Grey Warden character, because I would love to have a tank in my party who can actually pull aggro away, because I get wailed on a lot as a rogue because I pull aggro all the time. But essentially, combat is really fast paced. You also have combos. So as you spec throughout your character and learn different skills, like I have this ability. So instead of just a duck and tumble out of the way, or a dodge like this, because these are typical ducks and dodges and stuff, I have this ability which allows me to fire and shoot an arrow and jump away, which is really cool. But then you also have combos. And I have an ability that allows me to gain adrenaline when I do 10 hits without getting interrupted. But then there's also different combos with like X. There's heavy attacks. There's all sorts of crazy stuff that happens in this game. Like, it's the combat is really, 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 really good, guys. My character is a dual wielding rogue that I have spec'd up the sustain line so far, and I'm working my way over to the duelist specialization, which you get at level 20. So it's been really cool to go through here and figure out the abilities. I went straight up the gut, and it's been very, very satisfying because it's mostly a melee build with a handful of ranged abilities, and then lots of stuff based on applying bleeds and applying weakness. And essentially, I'm sort of like operating as a master of the battlefield where I direct my companions during the complex fights using this menu, while the rest of the time I stand back and either pew pew from a distance or duck in with like my weakness or because like this ability is really cool. I don't think I could do it without there being a mob. Oh yeah, I can. So there's lots of things that I could do tactically while sort of working my way around the battlefield and just sort of ducking in and out as needed to do damage. The other thing which I didn't show off during that fight is, because it's really hard when there's lots of stuff going on, and I really only use it when it's, not a ton of things happening. There is a parry system where you'll notice like a white kind of bubble appear above your character's head, which means an attack is incoming. And when it goes yellow, that's when you're supposed to hit the parry button, the block button, which will then create a counter attack. And then I have some counter attacks spec'd with my abilities, which allow me to do some special things when I counterattack. But then there's also when it's going red above your head, it means you need to duck out of the way because it's an unblockable, unparryable attack. So there's a lot going on in combat. Um, so this is sort of like the beginner's look at combat, sort of like the beginner's guide to the combat in Dragon Age of Veilguard. And then, of course, as we get deeper into the game, I will be taking a look at more advanced combat strategies because we're still only like, what, level 12 over 13. I haven't even gotten to the specialist line yet. And that's when we're going to start to get even different options. And I fully anticipate that combat is going to continue to evolve because every time I get a new ability, it's like, oh, now we can do this new thing. Now we have this new synergy between these three characters. Now let's change up the way we do things. And so it's been like every 2 or 3 levels, it's been changing how I play the game. It's been an extremely interesting approach to combat, and I absolutely love it. Do I recommend controller or keyboard or mouse? I'm using controller, Acco, so I think that just depends on the person. I would not want to play this with a mouse and keyboard, but I just prefer controllers anyway. And since I'm playing on the Xbox, like, I went console specifically because I wanted to play this on a controller. But it's been really really chunky, meaty combat so far, and I'm playing on the normal difficulty with the parry timer turned up because I suck at reaction based, and it's quite challenging. And I know that nightmare mode has been really challenging according to some stuff I've seen in chat from people who are playing. So I've been quite impressed with the combat in this game so far, and I'm really, really having a great time. So, anyway, that's the beginner's guide to combat in Dragon Age Veilguard. We'll be continuing on with the stream today, but if you're watching this after the fact, as I pull this video out, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Daily streams at 9 a.m. Mountain every day on YouTube and Twitch. We'll see you in the next one, hopefully. Don't forget all the socials and beyond. And let me know what your favorite part of combat is, because for me, it's been like the combat animations and like all the detonations. It's really sweet, sweet stuff.